suspiciously absent from the indictment was any allegations of foreign contributions, formal allegations. They're alleged in the actual write-up in the indictment, but nobody's actually charged with Russians donating money illegally to the campaign or services, which is fascinating. I brought up the piece, and it's in Powerline blog by Hindraker. You remember yesterday's show, Joe, right?
Yeah.
It was
like it was yesterday, yeah.
Like it was yesterday. See, you're a funny cat. I'm not funny like you. I'm not. You got a good sense of humor. You got to meet Joe in person. It's even better.
Well, you're smart, and I'm not smart like you. So.
You're not going to be at CPAC, right? This year, by the way? I'll be at CPAC, so I'll see you there. Actually, I'll be there tomorrow. So I'll see you all who head on to CPAC. But what's interesting is what was left out of the indictment by Mueller on Friday of the Russians were any allegations of the Russians influencing campaigns through money. Through the actual charge, I mean. Why would they leave that charge out? Now, again, not to redo yesterday's show, but I think it's because, and I think the writer of the piece is onto something, that the Russian money connection to the Clintons is deeper than we understand right now. So follow me. So I think if Mueller charges that against these guys, these Russians, then questions are going to be asked, folks, about, well, why not the Clintons too? That's suspicion number one. But suspicion number two about how this IG report could be ugly, folks. Why would Deripaska step down now? Deripaska, for those of you who need a refresher course on this, I know it's like in my book coming out on this, by the way, with Matt Palumbo, we have charts and diagrams and timelines. So we're almost done. Yeah. I promise you, it's almost done, and you'll be able to follow along at home. What's interesting about Deripaska is Deripaska and his lobbyist, Skye Waldman, is the same guy who reached out to a Democrat senator, Mark Warner, and tried to arrange a meeting after all of this scandal broke with Christopher Steele, the spy who was producing, the British spy who was producing information on Trump for the Clinton team. Why is Deripaska, how is he connected with the exact same people, Waldman, that are connected to Steele? Deripaska is an ally of Putin, a known ally of Putin. What I'm trying to tell you, folks, is Steele's working for the Clintons to get information on Trump. Steele obviously has a connection to a lobbyist who's working for Deripaska, who's an ally of Putin. Is it possible, just possible, that the ties between the Clintons and Russian money are deeper than we know right now? You know what's also interesting about Deripaska? Companies he's been associated with in deals that would have benefited him. Companies that would have benefited him have made donations, extensive donations to the Clinton campaign. Another thing, this guy's an ally of Putin. Remember, as Peter Schweitzer writes in his great book, Clinton Cash, remember the Skolkovo project? It was supposed to be the equivalent of the Russian Silicon Valley, folks. The Skolkovo project. The United States and Hillary Clinton supported this initiative. And Joe, conveniently, 17 of the 28 companies involved in the Russian Silicon Valley project in Skolkovo were Clinton Foundation donors.
No.
What? Crazy how that happens. Matter of fact, it's alleged that between six, I know, Joe, Elizabeth moment. We got to get that going.
We're going to.
Yeah. Between $6 and $23 million was donated to the Clinton Foundation from companies involved in the creation of this Russian Silicon Valley. Remember, I'm trying to make the case to you that I believe this IG report is going to uncover significant flows of Russian money into the Clinton Foundation. Therefore, if Mueller charges the Trump team, the Russians with influence operations using money and with an actual charge, and it's involved with the Trump team, who he says in the indictment had no idea any of this was going on.
Right.
What if the Clintons did know some of this was going on? They're going to be like, why are the Clintons not in jail too? Folks, it makes perfect sense. Now, why is Skolkovo deeply, deeply troubling? Because the FBI, this is fascinating, Joe. I can see you're interested. I know Joe. Joe gives me the head tilt when he wants to hear what's next. I can see it. Yeah. He leans into the microphone as if like leaning in is going to make the information come over faster. Skolkovo, the Russian Silicon Valley project supported by Hillary, in turn of with the donors who gave her money were involved in it, or they gave the Clinton Foundation money, to be precise there. Mm-hmm. The FBI themselves, Joe, determined that Skolkovo was a very dangerous project, that it was really an attempt by the Russians to get their hands on dual-use technology. Now, here you go. I'm going to read this to you. This is from, where's this piece from? I forgot. I'm sorry. It's in the show notes today, but you can read this. It's not, as always, I only put interesting articles in the show notes, but this is from the piece. Forgive me. It may be from Reuters, but I forget. It says the FBI in 2014 issued an extraordinary warning. That's a quote. To U.S. tech companies against their involvement in the Skolkovo initiative. The agency concluded, Joe, this is ridiculous, that we supported this. The agency concluded that the true motives of the Russian partners who were backed by President Vladimir Putin's government were to obtain classified, sensitive, and emerging technology for the companies. The foundation may be a means for the Russian government to access our nation's sensitive or classified research development facilities and dual-use technologies with military and commercial application. Lucia Ziobrio, the assistant special agent at the FBI Boston office, said in a statement. Folks, seriously?
Really?
So let me get this to be clear on this. Companies involved in the Skolkovo initiative donate potentially tens of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. It's estimated between $6 and $23 million. This initiative is called out by the FBI as an attempt by the Russians to steal dual-use military technology to potentially attack us with. And this was supported by the Clintons. Now do you see why yesterday's show makes so much sense and why these shows, I get it. I listen to your emails. I read every one of them. I get a lot of positive feedback. But once in a while, why do you keep focusing on this? Because it's not just about spying. It's not just about the Fourth Amendment. It's not just about the Trump presidency. It's not just about quid pro quo or pay for play or how Hillary's rotten and Bill's rotten and all this other stuff. Folks, this is about critical national security and the very the sanity of the constitutional republic going forward. Are we seriously doing this stuff? We're letting people serve as Secretary of State whose foundations named after her and her husband are accepting money from companies involved in an initiative that the FBI says is an attempt to steal potentially military secrets to use against us? And now you wonder why the Democrats want a lot of this to go away right now.
You think?
And by the way, one of the great ironies of the IG investigation, Joe, is that the IG investigation was requested by the Democrats because they thought they thought Jim Comey cost Hillary the election. So that is one of the greatest ironies of all, that the Democrats, in an effort to really stick it to Jim Comey and the FBI, asked the IG for this investigation that is now uncovering all kinds of stuff they'd rather, let's call it stuff, swept under the rug about the Clintons. Folks, I just want to sum it up at this point. I'm going to move on. The Russian involvement with the Clintons is going to get ugly. And that is why the Democrats need the special counsel to continue its work and to continue on the next path down. There's no collusion. So now it's going to be obstruction. If it's not obstruction, it'll be money laundering or something else. They will find a crime. Everybody's ripped the mattress tag off. They will find something. They need it. They need the special counsel to do the squirrel, shiny red ball, to distract people from what's really going on, which is the Obama year corruption, the Obama administration corruption, and the extensive involvement in the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation in some shady operations at best. All right. Today's show also brought to you by our buddies at iTarget. Folks, I really appreciate everybody who helps out our sponsors. They keep the show free. They are terrific. This is another great company. Listen, anybody can own a firearm. Anybody can fire a firearm. But the question is, can you fire it accurately? That's what matters. We trained every single month in the Secret Service. It got tedious, to be honest with you. We could never find parking outside of this facility we used to shoot at. It was the worst. You're like, gosh, I have to shoot again? Going to the range is tough, but we knew we had to do it. because you have to be proficient. But you have to, you have to spend money on the rounds. You have to clean your weapon afterwards. You have to get there. So go if you can. But if you can't, there's a good way to practice home dry firing. It's the iTarget Pro system. That's the letter I. iTargetPro.com. iTargetPro.com is the website. And what is it? It's a laser bullet you drop in a firearm you have now. You don't have to buy any other special gadgets for your firearm, whatever you have. I have a Glock 43 and 9mm. You simply, you check the weapon. You make sure it's safe. As I always say, check it twice, check it 3 times, look, feel the empty chamber. You drop that laser bullet in there. Now it's in an empty weapon, and it's empty because this laser bullet obviously is not a live round. When you depress the trigger, it will emit a laser onto a target the iTarget Pro system comes with. And that'll tell you exactly where that round would have went. So you can practice in the safety and security of your own home. If you can't get to the range, this is a great way to work on your trigger control. Your sight alignment. Remember, equal light on both sides, level across the top. Way to work on your grip. Make sure that grip is strong. Make sure that grip is tight. Make sure that grip is aligning those sights perfectly. This is the system to do it. Take your dry fire practice to the next level. Remember, competitive shooters that do this for a living, they dry fire 10 times more than they live fire. Go check it out, iTargetPro.com. That's the letter I, TargetPro.com. I'll give you a promo code. It's a tough one, Joe. Dan, D-A-N. I wonder how they thought of that one. iTarget Pro. Good. You guys are great. I'm just messing with. They're great. iTarget Pro, promo code Dan for 10% off. iTargetPro.com. Check it out. You'll love it. Okay. Listen, this, it's been a couple days since the really indescribable tragedy. I mean, I can't imagine what these people involved in Parkland are going through. And, there's an interesting article, a couple of them up out there. I've seen at the various websites about something I got into the other day about why I think the debate about firearms never goes anywhere. And I was trying to sum it up without repeating any content. And I thought of this, and I just wanted to put this out there. The problem we have here is that you have a small pool of people in this country. The criminal justice research is conclusive on this. You have a very small pool of criminals in the country that cause the overwhelming proportion of crimes. Forgive me, but I don't have the exact number. But I'm telling you from years in law enforcement and having researched this for other shows we've done, there is a small pool of people that cause an inordinate amount of chaos. They are the hardened criminals among us. I'm not talking about the petty larcenies and the turnstile jumping. I'm talking, although that's part of a bigger picture, especially when it comes to broken windows policing, which is the idea that you get the guy who jumped the turnstile. He's the guy who goes and robs people later on the plane. On the train. But you have a very small group of people who are evil enough and basically mentally damaged enough that they go out and they commit the rapes and the murders and the felonious assaults and the burglaries and break into homes when people are home or when people aren't. It's a small group of people. This small group of people, folks, obviously does not. I don't know any simpler way to say this. I tried to make this argument to Geraldo on a Fox and Friends, on a Hannity appearance on Fox. This small group of people, they don't care about your laws. They don't care about our laws, your laws, their laws, or however you want to describe our law. It's of zero interest to them at all. If they cared about laws, rules, and regulations, they wouldn't violate them constantly to get ahead. They are what we would describe as sociopaths. They live in a world without consequence. Right. I'm not trying to be preachy here, but God gave us shame as a gift. We have shame. You have feeling of shame. What is it? Shame's not real. You can't touch it. You can't bite it. You can't grab it. But you know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. Shame was a gift from God. Shame and guilt are gift. I believe this, folks. It was a gift. It was a gift so you feel an internal, not tangible consequence to an act you knew was wrong. And that's the penalty. Do animals really have shame or guilt? I don't think so. Maybe your dog once in a while when you come in and the dog pees on the carpet. You know that look they give you once in a while. But animals don't. We have a very complex brain that operates in a very complex way. These are gifts from God. I'm not being preachy. I just want to get to a point here. You have this feeling of shame and guilt that God gave us and gave it to us so it would prevent us in the future from repeating malicious acts. Sociopaths and the evil among us don't have this. So you have this small group of people that don't care about the laws. So what I don't think the other side of the firearm debate understands is you have this small group of people causing an inordinate amount of damage that don't care about the laws. The way we